So hello there guys. In this video I'm going to be looking at how to handle custom endpoints when you have authentication enabled. So if I go to my authentication, you notice I have authentication enabled and I also have roles and permissions enabled. So basically we're going to be looking at webhooks when you have roles and permissions enabled, because you notice that maybe some people have access to certain endpoints. So what happens with RAS systems is when you set user roles permissions, like for example, if you notice admin have access to this entries table, and then maybe users don't have access to maybe transactions, right? But you might create a custom endpoint in a controller which that particular user does not have access to. So now in this particular case, we are going to be looking at how to handle that. Okay, so we're going to be looking at how you can create custom endpoints with authenticated roles and then how to access it, right? So let me first show you what you're going to be doing. Now basically what I want to do is, for this application I'm doing here at the top, I want to show all transactions which have been successful maybe for this business, right? So if I go to business transactions, I want to see transactions which are for that particular business, right? So if I go to businesses, maybe see this business, as you can see here at the top, this business ID is 5. So I want to create an endpoint which is going to be getting the total amount for this particular business which has been transacted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my custom endpoints, and I'll just copy URL from I'll just copy code from another one which I had. Yeah, so I'm just going to copy this just the way it is, and I'm going to go and create a new endpoint. So the new endpoint I'm going to be creating is going to be doing from businesses, and I'm going to say total amount, right, per business. Okay, so I'm just going to transfer that code here, and I'm going to say sum as total from amount. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go and open businesses here and go to transactions here, because that's where I want to grab that. So I can just do that from business transactions actually, and there we go. So we have an endpoint which gets the total amount per user, right? So we have amount as total amount. So here, as you can see on this left side, we have the amount, and I have from let's see, from business transactions, I guess, like that, where event ID is equals to, sorry, not event ID but business ID is equals to this EID. So this EID is going to be a parameter, and the way we pass parameters in Node-RED is by doing it this way. So I'm going to do EID here. So this is what we are more interested in. So this EID is just coming from here. So this is just, you can name this whatever you want, but then again you're going to have to put it here. Okay, now we need a payment status. We don't have the payment status. Business transaction status. Here we go, we have the transaction status. So I'm going to do transaction status is equals to paid for this event. So now we have an endpoint, right? So if we come here, we now have an endpoint called business transactions copy. So what I want to do is I want to now go here, and I'm going to put that in this particular page, right? So for example, when I go to this page here, for example, okay, let me say I want to show this on the business view page right here. So when I come here, I'm going to make a custom API. I'm going to make an API call, right? So I'm just going to come here and say const amount is equals to ref. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it empty like that, and I'm then going to come here and paste this API call here, copy this and put it here. Then I'm going to grab this just the way it is and put it here, and for this case I'm just going to pass the ID manually. so you don't have to keep doing dynamic because that's not the point of this video. And then this amount, I'm going to put it here. Right, so we have it right about there. Okay, now this is going to be called get amount, right? And then we want this to be loaded when the page loads, so we have to put it inside and unmounted. Okay, so come here and grab this function, and we're going to put it right there. So when this page loads, we want to show this amount on the front end. So we're going to come here on this custom view, and I'm just going to just add this here man for now, right? Okay, so publish that, and we should see something here on this page here, but we're not seeing it because if we go to the inspect here, you will notice that this endpoint is protected, right? So this endpoint is protected, so you cannot access it because you have no permission for this. Now this account I'm using is of type admin. So what we need to do is when you create a new custom endpoint, right? When you create a new custom endpoint that needs to be usable in your application, we are going to add it manually in our permissions. So if I come here, I'm going to just enter the permission, which is going to be this link of the endpoint. So I'm going to go to my endpoints, custom endpoints, and come here, and I'm just going to copy this just the way it is. And I want to now go ahead and paste it here, right? Paste it there, and I want this to be accessible by the admin. So that's a endpoint that can only be accessed by the admin or something, right? So if I go back to my application, to my home page, let me go to businesses, this guy, then we should be able to access that particular endpoint here. So as you can see now, we don't really have that stuff here. So let's see amount, right? So let's go back to radsystems, and we want to display this amount here. All right, so now if we come back, you notice that now we have the amount being displayed without any error. So if I log in as, maybe say, if you can try and log in like as a different person, right? Say now a user. Remember, we have users who don't have access to this. So if I go and log in as this particular user here, maybe look for businesses, business, this guy. You notice that this guy has no access to the amount because you have not given them the permission for that particular endpoint. So that is how you secure your endpoints instead of just making them public, because some endpoints might require you to have like extra permissions or they are protected. You don't want them to be public, so that's how you do it in radsystems. So if you need it to be accessible for users, if I come here, I can just come here and make it accessible for users, make it accessible. Now if I go back here and I reload this, you should now notice that now this user has access to that particular endpoint. So that is how you do that. So in case you need to do any protected APIs, that's how you're going to be doing it when roles and permissions are being enabled and you don't want it to be public. Now, sometimes you might want your endpoints to be public. So if your endpoint has no issue, like you don't really care about how it happens, like for example, if I log out, let me go to organizations, business here. I have a page which is called pay here. Now this pay page is accessible even when you're logged out, because it's going to be a page where people can like pay you some money, right? So if I open this page, it's going to be publicly available. So on this page, I want to be performing some few actions, maybe like verifying a transaction or stuff like that. So on this particular page, I want it to be public. Now, when you want your endpoints to be public, you add them in the components data controller, because this is not protected by any authentication. So if your API doesn't have like that much of a big issue, like it does not have problems with any of that, you can just add it here directly and everything will be fine. Right. So another thing, in case you want to do like API, right? So this is not the right way to do it. Like you notice, I've actually added my API keys in my code here, like inside my code. You should not do this at whatever point. Instead, we'll be doing a different videos of how to add this in environment variables, but that's not the point of this video. So in case you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. In case you need to join the radsystems course, I'll leave the link to the Patreon page there. Or if you feel like you need to support the channel, you can also subscribe to the Patreon tiers or any of that. So in case of any questions, leave them in the comment section. I'll answer them as soon as I see it. So that will be it. See you in the next video.